Victor Shaw, a factory owner focused solely on profits, never imagined that one evening's observation would change everything. As he watches Adam stay late to help a struggling colleague, Emily, he starts to question his entire approach to success. Small acts of kindness among the workers begin to unravel a truth Victor never saw coming. Could the real key to success lie in something more than numbers and deadlines? What he discovers next will challenge everything he thought he knew about leadership. Welcome to Limelight Tales. What if a simple decision changes the entire course of success? Watch to see how one moment turns the factory's world upside down. Victor Shaw was a man obsessed with order. As the owner of Shaw Manufacturing, he had built the business from the ground up, relying on rigid schedules and strict policies. He prided himself on his company's reputation for meeting deadlines and maximizing profits, but his management style left little room for human connection. To Victor, his factory wasn't a community. It was a machine, and each worker was just another cog. Victor rarely visited the factory floor, preferring to run operations from his office. He delegated day-to-day supervision to his managers, who enforced his rules without question. This distance suited Victor. As long as the numbers looked good and the production lines ran smoothly, he didn't see the need to get involved. But recently, something had been bothering him. Despite the factory's usual efficiency, production had plateaued. Victor scrutinized every report, reviewed schedules, and interrogated his managers, yet the issue remained elusive. Frustrated, he decided to investigate the matter himself. One cold evening, Victor stayed late to observe the night shift. The workers, unaccustomed to his presence, cast wary glances his way. Clad in a tailored suit, Victor stood apart from the factory's industrial hum, silently watching the employees wrap up their tasks. As the clock approached the end of the shift, most workers hurried to clock out. Victor noticed their exhaustion as they shuffled toward the exit, eager to escape the noise of the machines. But one man remained behind. Victor's attention was drawn to Adam, a reserved yet dependable worker who had been with the company for several years. Adam was known among his peers for his helpful nature, though it often went unnoticed by the supervisors. That night, Adam walked over to Emily, a relatively new hire struggling to operate one of the more complex machines. Emily looked defeated, her hands trembling as she fumbled with the controls. Victor recognized her from a previous performance report. She was one of the slower workers, barely meeting her quotas. She seemed on the verge of tears as she muttered to herself, "I'll never get this right." "Hey, need a hand?" Adam asked, his voice calm and reassuring. Emily looked up, startled. "Oh, Adam, you don't have to. You've already finished your shift." Adam shrugged, setting his lunchbox aside. "It's no big deal. You're struggling, and I've got a few minutes. Let's figure this out." Victor watched, intrigued, as Adam pulled up a stool beside Emily. He adjusted the machine's settings and demonstrated how to handle the materials more efficiently. His instructions were clear and patient, and he encouraged Emily every step of the way. Slowly, her confidence grew, and her movements became steadier. After about 20 minutes, Emily managed to finish her task without error. She turned to Adam with a grateful smile. "Thank you so much. I don't know how I'd manage without your help." "Don't mention it," Adam replied, wiping his hands on his overalls. "We're all in this together." Victor chose that moment to step forward, his polished shoes clicking against the concrete floor. Both workers turned to him, startled by his sudden presence. "You're off the clock," Victor said, his tone sharp. "Why are you still here?" Adam met Victor's gaze without hesitation. "Because she needed help," he said simply. "If I left, she'd be here all night. Helping her means we all do better tomorrow." Victor raised an eyebrow. "You're sacrificing your time for someone else's work. What do you gain from this?" Adam's expression didn't waver. "Sometimes, it's not about what you gain. It's about doing the right thing." Victor said nothing, his mind racing. He had expected excuses or defensiveness, not such a straightforward answer. Without another word, he turned and walked away, leaving Adam and Emily to exchange puzzled glances. That night, Victor sat in his office long after everyone had gone home. Adam's words echoed in his mind, challenging his long-held beliefs about efficiency and success. Was it possible that he had been focusing on the wrong metrics all along? The factory floor, once a distant and impersonal space, now felt like a puzzle he needed to solve. For the first time in years, Victor wondered if there was more to running a business than numbers on a spreadsheet. The following days were a blur for Victor as he grappled with his thoughts. He couldn't shake the image of Adam helping Emily late into the night, the way he had calmly guided her through her struggles without expecting anything in return. It wasn't just an act of kindness, it was a reflection of something deeper. Adam's commitment to the team, his willingness to sacrifice personal time for the well-being of others, had unsettled Victor in a way he hadn't anticipated. Victor, ever the skeptic, tried to dismiss it as an isolated incident, but the more he thought about it, the more it gnawed at him. The factory, his factory, was running like a well-oiled machine, but perhaps it was missing something vital, something that couldn't be measured in output or efficiency. The next day, Victor decided to take a different approach. Instead of staying hidden behind his desk, he spent the day walking through the factory floor, observing his workers as they went about their tasks. He wasn't just looking at the machines or the numbers, he was looking at the people. The workers had no idea he was watching, and as he observed their interactions, something began to shift in his understanding of the business. He noticed Rachel, another veteran worker, calmly helping a younger employee named Jared with a piece of equipment that had broken down. Rachel, without a second thought, lent Jared her tools and explained how to fix the malfunctioning machine. In contrast to the impersonal nature of corporate policies, this felt human, connected, and grounded in shared purpose. The sense of camaraderie among the workers was palpable, even if the higher-ups, including himself, hadn't noticed it before. Victor's day on the factory floor continued. He witnessed moments of kindness, small gestures like Daniel sharing his lunch with Clara, who had forgotten hers, and Jenna offering advice to Marcus on how to improve his speed without sacrificing quality. It was clear that the workers helped one another, often going out of their way without being asked or expecting anything in return. And then, like a flickering light in his mind, it hit him. These acts of collaboration were not only keeping the factory running, they were building something more powerful than mere production. Later that evening, Victor sat down in his office with the factory's performance reports. But this time, his focus had shifted. He no longer found himself only looking at the profit margins or the output numbers. Instead, he started examining the relationship between the workers, the support systems they had in place for one another, and how that directly contributed to the overall atmosphere of the factory. He realized that what he had mistaken for apathy or disconnection was actually the very thing that made the factory function smoothly: the workers' mutual respect and willingness to help each other. It dawned on him that Adam's act of staying late not to finish his own work but to help Emily was a small but vital piece of a much larger puzzle. Victor had been focused on the wrong things. While he had spent years optimizing machinery, he had ignored the most important factor: the people who worked those machines. Without them, the factory wouldn't run at all. Determined to better understand this newfound perspective, Victor called for a meeting with his management team. He had a bold proposal, one that would completely shift the way the company operated. The following week, Victor addressed the employees during the morning shift briefing. He stood in front of the entire workforce, his usually formal demeanor softened. "I've been running this factory with the wrong mindset," Victor began, looking around at the workers who had been with the company for years, their expressions a mix of surprise and curiosity. "I've treated this place like a machine, but the truth is, it's not just about machines. It's about all of you. You make this factory what it is, and I've ignored the most important part of this business, your well-being, and the support you give one another." There was a silence in the room, the workers unsure of how to respond. Victor continued, "I've seen the way you help each other, go out of your way to make sure the team succeeds. And I've realized that's where the real value is." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "From now on, we'll focus on more than just efficiency. We'll work on strengthening this team, building a culture where everyone feels valued and supported. I'm going to make changes, starting with better training programs, mentorship opportunities, and better work-life balance policies." As he spoke, he noticed the subtle shifts in the workers' faces. Some looked skeptical, others cautiously optimistic. But there was a shift, a spark of something they hadn't seen from Victor before. Certainly Victor had made a decision. He wasn't just going to run the factory as a business, he was going to nurture it as a community. And that would start with him, leading by example. The changes weren't instant. They didn't transform the factory overnight. But as weeks passed, the atmosphere on the floor began to change. Employees were more willing to offer help, more eager to collaborate, and more involved in shaping the workplace. The management team worked alongside the workers, fostering open communication and an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect. The real impact, though, was felt in the production itself. With workers feeling valued and supported, productivity improved. There were fewer mistakes, less downtime, and an overall sense of pride in the work being done. When people felt like they mattered, they didn't just work harder, they worked smarter, more effectively. Months later, during a factory-wide celebration, Victor sought out Adam. He had made it a point to personally thank the worker who had unknowingly started the transformation. "Adam," Victor said, clapping him on the shoulder, "I wanted to thank you. What you did for Emily, staying late to help her, changed everything." Adam looked up and surprised. "I didn't do it for recognition. Just thought it was the right thing to do." "I know," Victor replied, smiling. "And that's exactly why it mattered." The factory had evolved into something greater than Victor could have imagined. It wasn't just a place of work. It was a place where people cared for one another, where their success was intertwined with the success of their colleagues. And for the first time in a long while, Victor felt like he had truly unlocked the potential of Shaw Manufacturing. But in the pursuit of success, it's easy to forget that behind every achievement are the people who make it happen, not just the machines or the systems. True progress is found not only in the bottom line, but in fostering an environment where individuals support each other, where collaboration and kindness become the foundation of growth. It's when we invest in the well-being of those around us, when we take a moment to help someone without expecting anything in return, that we realize the strength of the connections we've built. In the end, success is not measured by the work done alone, but by how we elevate one another along the way. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed the content, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. It really helps the channel grow and brings more stories like this your way. Remember, always take a moment to lift others up, because the true strength of any community lies in the kindness we share. Keep supporting, keep growing, and together we can create something incredible.